Welcome to the PreSnap Podcast presented by LineStar. We've got your NFL division previews ahead of the start of the 2023 season alongside Tyler Wiemann. I am Shannon Sommerville. Tyler, we've got an action-packed show today going over the AFC South. We've got win totals, futures, bets that are available on Underdog Fantasy. By the way, if you don't already have Underdog Fantasy, make sure to download that app and use the promo code LineStar when you do. And you'll get up to $100 of your deposit match, so make sure to do that. Also, check out the LineStar app. It's a great tool to use if you're into daily fantasy or prop betting. It's just an awesome tool to help you dominate that props game. Props AI tool has been super helpful for us all season long in baseball, and we're so excited to take it into NFL season like we did last year. Also, do us a huge favor. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video if you're enjoying our content, and comment below. Let us know what you think about the upcoming season and specifically the AFC South, which is an interesting one because there's a lot of rebuilding going on here. We're going to have two teams that have two new head coaches and two quarterbacks. So it's going to be interesting to go over it. We're going to go over it in order of the team with the best odds to win, and then we'll go down to the underdogs, if you will. So let's start things off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were the AFC South champions last year. They started off with a 3-7 record, but won 6 of their final 7, ended 9-8, won the AFC South under first-year head coach Doug Pederson. And Tyler, do you remember that game where they rallied back from 27-0 to beat the Chargers in that wild card game? They eventually lost to the Chiefs in the divisional game, but they gave them a run for their money. And the Jacksonville Jaguars were quite the story last season. What are your expectations overall as we head into the 2023 season for the Jags here?
I mean, I like the team a lot. Doug Pederson has been a good coach, in the NFL, and he did a great job with them last year. Nobody really expect them to be as good as they were last year. And I think there's good reason for them to be the favorites to win the South. I just don't know if they will.
All right. Well, hold on to that thought for just a second. We'll go over some notable offseason moves. And look who we got back this season from suspension. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley is back in the fold in Jacksonville after serving a suspension for sports gambling. The Jags also re-signed tight end Evan Ingram. They did let right tackle Jawan Taylor walk in free agency. They signed running back Dearness Johnson from the Browns. And then in the draft, they got an offensive tackle in Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, drafted tight end Brenton Strange, and drafted a running back in Tank Bigsby from Auburn. A lot of interesting players here from a fantasy perspective. Are there any that jump out to you in terms of maybe being a little bit undervalued in perhaps season-long fantasy or in best ball?
Yeah, in best ball, I really like this passing game. We saw Lawrence made a big jump from, the year prior to last year. And I would expect him in another year, in the same system that he makes another jump. And it looks really good for, Christian Kirk, for Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram. I like their outlook quite a bit.
All right. So speaking of that, Underdog Fantasy has season-long props that are available right now. Are there any you are interested in from the Jacksonville Jaguars side of things?
Yeah, so I really do like Calvin Ridley, but I think as far as a season-long prop betting situation, I would rather go with Christian Kirk higher than 800.5 receiving yards. So last year, the Jags, spread the ball around a good bit, and I expect them to do the same this year with, Ridley being the one instead of Kirk. However, Kirk saw over 130 targets last year. I think as long as he's seeing over 100, he's in a really good situation to at least catch 75 balls. And with his 12.5 yards per reception average, that puts him in line for 937 yards. And it's well over that 800 mark. So I like that higher.
Yeah, as you mentioned when you're talking about Trevor Lawrence earlier and him taking a step forward in this offense, and you like a lot of these guys for the passing game for best ball. And I can't help but love Calvin Ridley. Yes, I know he is 2 years removed from playing actual meaningful football, but I'm going to take him higher than 6 receiving touchdowns because he had 10, 7, and 9 from 2018 to 2020. And he's basically missed the last 2 seasons, but he's still just 28 years old. Last full season in 2020, he finished as a top 5 fantasy option. He was first in air yards, first in deep targets, second in red zone targets, second in air yards share. And then he also ranked 6th in yards per route run behind, listen to some of these names, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Travis Kelce. In 2020, the Jags had 35.9 passes per game, which ranked 9th. So they're a team that passes the ball, and with Trevor Lawrence in another year in this system under Doug Pederson, getting more comfortable back there, and really we saw him improve drastically from the beginning of the season when they struggled going 3-7 to the end of the season when he was taking it to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. He came a long way, and I expect that to pay off, and especially with a target like Calvin Ridley. And I think people forget just what a freak of an athlete he is. And now he's starting to kind of take over training camp. You're hearing rumbles of him kind of being quite the show down there in Duval. So I like Calvin Ridley here over 6 touchdowns. And I also like his receiving yards. However, it just has gotten a little bit high for me. And I like the touchdown specifically here because of his past performances in the red zone. And I think that they will target him quite a bit in the red zone here. So I'm all in on Calvin Ridley. I know that there are some who think, oh, he's got to kind of prove it first because he's been away from the game for so long. There's a difference between practice, right, and game speed.
100%.
That's a great argument, but I still am in a, maybe in the beginning of the season there'll be some rust, but I think they'll get it together pretty quickly.
So when I said that, I'd rather go to Kirk, I meant more on the receiving yards aspect.
Exactly.
I agree that Ridley's line on receiving yards, while I think he probably gets it's just a little high for my liking when I have more confidence receiving yard wise that Kirk will get it than Ridley at their current numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you there on that one. Let's move on then to the Tennessee Titans. Last season finished 7-10. They started out looking great, but then you had Ryan Tannehill have an injury, and they started to struggle down the stretch. But they have the second best odds to win the AFC South. Some notable offseason moves for them. Well, they kind of got one of the biggest whales of the offseason in signing wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. They also improved. They added a bunch of people to their defense, a couple offensive linemen, and they did draft an offensive tackle. Another big component here is Ryan Tannehill will be healthy again. Tyler, what are your overall impressions of this Tennessee Titans team? I kind of go back and forth on what my expectations are for them in 2023.
I mean, the fact that they're even competitive without Ryan Tannehill shows a lot about how good this organization has been to keep them winning. So with Tannehill back and the addition of Hopkins, I kind of like the team.
Okay, then. Yeah, I mean, they still have Derrick Henry, who is quite the workhorse, and that offense is just rolling through him, right? And then you add that passing threat. And as you mentioned, they did okay without Ryan Tannehill back there. So now having him back in that system and maybe having that extra passing threat to take a little bit of the load off of Derrick Henry, I really like this play here. I also think an interesting component here is Derrick Henry, which I will get to in my prop bets. But let me hear yours first. Underdog Fantasy season long best bet. What you got for me here from the Tennessee Titans?
Speaking of Ryan Tannehill, we're going higher than 16.5 passing touchdowns. He's gone over in 8 of his 10 seasons. He has Treylon Burks. He has DeAndre Hopkins. He has Okinawa. I really like the passing weapons that he has. And, I actually could see this passing offense tend to more like it was with A.J. Brown, where, as far as an offense, they were actually pretty solid.
Yeah, I really like this play here for Ryan Tannehill. Now he's got DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best wide receivers in the game there. Liking that pick from you, Tyler. All right, for my pick, I'm going to Derrick Henry, the human bulldozer, higher than 1,225 rushing yards. Listen, this is Derrick Henry, and I know people are starting to get a little weary getting that he's nearing that age 30 mark. However, he had 1,538 rushing yards in 2022, and that was behind a terrible offensive line, no passing game. He was running into a stacked box every single time. There was zero creativity from former offensive coordinator Todd Downing. Fortunately for the Titans, he is no longer there. It is Tim Kelly who was promoted to offensive coordinator there. He's also got Ryan Tannehill back there healthy again to help take the pressure off a little bit. And you've got DeAndre Hopkins, which I think will actually benefit Derrick Henry and take a little bit of the pressure away, because defenses have to account for the fact that Ryan Tannehill can just hit nuke for an absolute bomb in the end zone at any time. And I think that will open things up for Derrick Henry, and he will have an even better season than he did last year. He's one of the most electric runners in the NFL, and I don't expect him slowing down this season. I know he's getting a year older. He's nearing that age 30, but I still think he's going to crush this over of 12.25 and a half. That's too low for Derrick Henry. He's a machine. What are your thoughts on Derrick Henry?
I think he's an incredible running back and just a freak, athletically. So I like him. I think he's going a little bit later than he probably should be in best ball. And as a whole, I like this team. I think they do have a shot at challenging the Jags.
How about that win total at 7.5? Are you going over there?
Oh yeah, I'm going over.
Me too. I kind of like this team. They've always been pretty sound, fairly sound on defense. And I feel like they almost won the AFC South last year, if not for the Jags coming on strong at the end there. And they just got hit with a lot of injuries there late in the game. But nonetheless, I do like the Titans. Watch out for them this upcoming season. Now let's move on to a team that's going to be doing some rebuilding. The Indianapolis Colts, who finished last season 4-12. So they got a whole new head coach in Shane Steichen. They got a new quarterback, Gardner Minshew, but the real quarterback we're going to talk about in just a second. They did get Isaiah McKenzie from Buffalo, and they drafted quarterback Anthony Richardson 4th overall. He's the quarterback of the future there in Indianapolis. And they also picked up wide receiver Josh Downs for offense from UNC there. And a lot of drama, though, Tyler, lately with Jonathan Taylor, the running back who just 2 years ago led the NFL in rushing yards, and now he's requesting a trade. Before training camp started, he wanted out of there. What do you make of what is going on in Indianapolis right now?
Yeah, it's a weird situation. Not really too sure what to make of it at this point. But you got to be wary about drafting JT right now. There's so many different aspects of it. So not only did he request a trade, the owner said that they won't pay him. And then there was this report that his back hurts and he might go on the non-football injury list, which he says his back is fine and he doesn't know where that information's coming from. So this whole scenario for JT is extremely awkward, really weird, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of how it plays out.
Now, there are no underdog fantasy season-long picks yet for the Indianapolis Colts that are available. So my question to you is, for fantasy purposes, who interests you from that perspective?
You got to bring up Anthony Richardson. He's already running with the ones. The guy is built like, Derrick Henry, but a quarterback, and runs a 4.40, and running quarterbacks just put up points. So I think you really do have to consider him. If he is a better passer than everybody expects, then he could be, a legit fantasy quarterback. The other thing is, the one thing we do know about him is he can throw the deep ball. With that being said, Alec Pierce, last year rookie wide receiver, is pretty interesting. He had some really good games last year, and he can definitely get open deep. So
And to your point with Anthony Richardson, I mean, we've all seen the highlight reel plays of him, and we know what he is capable of. And then you add in the fact that this is a coach that knows a thing or two about rushing quarterbacks. Shane Steichen, their new head coach, had a huge hand in helping Jalen Hurts basically achieve an MVP caliber season last year and take the Eagles to the Super Bowl. So you've got to have a little bit of confidence knowing that that's who's going to be developing Anthony Richardson next season. And while he might have some rookie mistakes, and you still got to like a little bit of upside there, especially for best ball purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for best ball, definitely, because, it's really hard to kind of guess some of these newer players when they're going to have their spike weeks, and they're going to happen with him. And the best thing with best ball is you don't have to, do that guessing game. You just get his best weeks.
The win total for the Colts is at 6.5. Tyler, quite frankly, I'm not, going near it from a betting perspective because I don't even know what to expect from this team, especially with their best player, the face of the franchise, not wanting to play there anymore. I have no idea what's going to happen in Indianapolis right now. So what do you when you look at that win total at 6.5? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's real hard for me to go higher on that. The one thing is that they do also have Houston in their division, so I don't know. I just can't really go higher on them, though.
Well, you just talked about the Houston Texans. Yeah. They finished last season 3-13. This is a franchise that has only won 11 games over the last 3 seasons, but they also got a big makeover, adding new head coach DeMeco Ryans, who spent 6 seasons as defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers. Also joining him in Houston is tight end Dalton Schultz, wide receivers Robert Woods, Noah Brown, and running back Devin Singletary. Also in the mix there, Jimmy Ward. They did bring a lot of veteran defenders over there as well. I didn't list all of those. They did bring in a ton of veteran talent. They drafted quarterback C.J. Stroud in the first round, 2nd overall. When you look at this Houston Texans team, I've seen some people picking them as a sleeper team to win the AFC South. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to say no on that one.
That's a
no from me.
That's a no from you. Okay, what is realistic possibility for them?
I mean, they could beat 3 wins of last year. I think 6.5 is a little bit too high for them. They put some assets towards the offense over the last year, but I mean, their defense was still not very good, and I just don't really see them having a puncher's chance at this division.
That being said, are there any players you're interested in for fantasy football?
I do think that Mechie and Collins are both interesting wide receivers. I wouldn't do them in, say, your family or friends season-long league, but in a best ball type contest, I think they are extremely interesting. Mechie was a pretty high draft pick last year, and he's back, and healthy this year. So I think he's going to be interesting to see what he can do and bring to this offense.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. He was out dealing with leukemia. Prior to that, he had an ACL injury. So really, we haven't seen any of him. And I'm just so excited to see he's a former Alabama guy. The talent's there, and I'm just so excited to finally see that on display there. So definitely a player to watch. We spoke to Dr. Chow about him, and he said, you know what, you hate to have any type of chemotherapy going on, but if there is a time, it's when you're rehabbing you're coming off a knee injury. It gives him some time to heal the knee as well. So looking forward to seeing him fully healthy in 2023. Underdog season-long picks. Where are you headed from the Houston Texans?
Well, I was fading their win total, so I might as well fade the quarterback a little bit. C.J. Stroud lower than 19.5 passing touchdowns. Look, since 2017, there's only been 6 QBs to go over. I did 2017 specifically because that was Deshaun Watson's rookie year, and he did not go over. So I do not expect CJ Stroud to. I just think this offense, really lacks quality weapons, and I see it very hard for him to go over this.
Oh man, Tyler, did you not see him against Georgia in the college football playoffs? He went off. He's got talent, but I do.
He does.
I guess
He does. It's just being a rookie quarterback is very hard in the NFL, and he's making a big jump. The guys that really were able to go over that 19 mark are, Justin Herbert that came into the Chargers system with a ton of options, ton of weapons, really good, team around him. And those are the guys that were getting over 19, not the, second picks that were coming to literally nothing around him.
Well, being a rookie quarterback is tough, but you know who made being a rookie running back look easy? That was Dameon Pierce last year in his rookie season. He looked phenomenal out there. So I'm going with Pierce higher than 900.5 rushing yards. Pierce had 939 in his rookie season, and an interesting stat I found was his rate of avoiding tackles per attempt actually led all running backs minimum 175 rushing attempts. Pierce is a human bowling ball who can be incredibly elusive, and he's going to be running behind an improved offensive line. Also, the offensive coordinator is Bobby Slowick, who comes over from San Francisco. What does the San Francisco 49ers do? They run the ball, and Dameon Pierce will be a beneficiary of that new system in Houston. I like his chances here. I understand that he's going to be facing some potential competition from Devin Singletary, who can be coming over, and one of the things you two have to worry about with this particular prop is the fact that there could be doing some, we don't really know how that's going to look. Are they going to split it up by committee? But what we do know is Dameon Pierce, his overall physical attributes and his abilities and what he showed in his rookie season, I think they're just going to hand him the rock, especially with a rookie quarterback back there likely starting, and they're going to run the ball. This entire offense will be predicated on that run game, and I think DeMeco Ryans, a defensive guy, is really going to lean on his defense to carry them through this season. What are your thoughts on Dameon Pierce from a fantasy perspective, Tyler?
I mean, he had an absolutely, great year as a rookie last year, especially, with that team. They had 3 wins, and he was still able to get it done. So I think he's a great talent, and he can definitely go over this, especially if they're giving him the ball.
All right, I already know where you're headed with this, I think. Houston Texans win total 6.5. Under or over?
Not happening. I'm going lower.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm rolling with it there. I just don't think a team that has only accumulated 11 wins over the last 3 seasons is magically going to,
double their win total or over double their win total.
Yeah. I would be shocked to see that. Are they going to improve? Definitely. I see they've been bringing in a lot of great talent, and I think on the defense it's going to be much improved, but not happening. I don't think so. I think it's fair to say this is a race between the Titans and the Jags. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with you on that one. And personally, I lean to the Titans.
Okay. Let's hear it. Make the case for the Tennessee Titans. What you got for me, Tyler?
I mean, I just think with DeAndre Hopkins in that team, another year with Treylon Burks, their offense actually has some weapons now. They were competitive with, Malik Willis not even throwing the ball. And so now that you actually can throw the ball, I think the team as a whole has a legit chance, and they're coached well. They're going to be in it at the end. And at like plus 300 or whatever they are, I like that bet.
Yeah, I kind of couldn't decide. It's coming down between these two squads, and I'm just going to roll with the favorites in this one. Since you took Tennessee and made a great argument for them, I'll just go ahead and make the argument for the Jaguars in this one. We got Trevor Lawrence coming back in his second season under Doug Pederson, who is a Super Bowl coach. He knows a thing or two about winning, and he is the improvement they showed over the course of the season, going from 3-7 to finishing out winning 6 of the last 7 games. They hung in there with the Chiefs in the divisional round, and I think they showed a lot of promise. I think it's going to be tough. The Tennessee Titans are also well coached. You also talked about the offense earlier in the addition of Calvin Ridley to the mix there. I think this is going to be another weapon for Trevor Lawrence, who has already shown vast improvement. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Jacksonville has in store. They also have one of the best mascots in the NFL with the guy that wears the Speedo. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, it's Jackson DeVille. I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but I think it is. Jackson DeVille. He looks like the Cheeto Man. He is the Jaguar. You know what I mean? I'm going to send
Let's do it.
Put a photo up on the screen and we'll show you. The Speedo Man, he's got the juice. We're excited to see more Speedo Man.
Let's go.
Tyler's like, oh God, all right, let's wrap it up here. We're off the rails. Good luck in all of your prop betting endeavors. Remember to check out the LineStar app. And if you haven't already, do us a huge favor, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below. Let us know what you think about the AFC South this year. Check out all our other videos. We're almost done wrapping things up as we head closer to the NFL season. It's right around the corner. Make sure you keep up with all the latest content we're coming out with sign up for our notifications so you can never miss a video. Don't want to miss us, right, Tyler?
Nope, not for a second.
I don't know what the next division we'll talk about is, but I'm sure they also have a great mascot that I can talk about in the next video. So you got that to look forward to as well. All right. Good luck. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.